let's get into it. We're taking a deep dive into some iconic American fashion.
Oh, yeah.
We've got these great sources on like four big names: Tommy Hilfiger,
hmm
Polo Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and Levi's.
Yeah, but
And I think this is going to be fun. Like, I have a feeling there's going to be some like aha moments in here as we go through this stuff.
yeah, for sure. I think there are a lot of interesting things about how these brands sort of became such a big part of American culture.
Totally. So why don't we just jump right in?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's start with Tommy Hilfiger.
Yeah.
That classic red, white, and blue logo,
Yeah.
founded back in 1985, and you see it everywhere. They've got everything from like those puffer jackets to even wallets.
Right.
But what's really interesting to me in looking at this stuff is how they managed to appeal to such a broad age range.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think they've done a really clever job of sort of walking that line. They do collaborations with like streetwear brands and things like that to bring in a younger audience, but then they also tap into that kind of 90s nostalgia
Right.
that resonates with people who are a little bit older millennials and stuff like that.
Totally.
So it's not just classic casual, it's like this very carefully crafted image of American cool
Yeah,
that can kind of transcend different generations.
it's true. And I'm seeing here that they're actually considered more of a mid-range brand
Mm-hmm.
than a true luxury brand.
Right, yeah, which makes them a lot more accessible to a wider audience.
Right.
Plays into that whole aspirational but attainable kind of vibe.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk Polo Ralph Lauren.
Okay.
Now, this is definitely a step up in terms of price point established in 1967,
Yeah.
that iconic horse logo. But what really stood out to me is this mention of their knit cotton sweater.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a customer favorite for its like versatility in that luxurious feel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you look at their overall aesthetic, it's not just about elegance. They use high quality materials, classic tailoring, and even the way they present their clothing in ads and stuff. It all evokes this image of like a very sophisticated,
Right.
almost equestrian lifestyle,
Totally.
Think polo matches, country clubs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you can't forget those adorable RL Bear designs for kids.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's like they're grooming the next generation of polo enthusiasts from day one.
Exactly. It's very strategic.
Yeah.
They're creating brand loyalty early on, and even those simple hats they're known for, it all ties into that image of like effortless sophistication.
Okay. Now, for something completely different, let's move on to Calvin Klein,
Okay.
founded in 1968 in New York.
Yes.
Famous for that minimalist aesthetic, and their underwear is
Oh, yeah.
practically legendary.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about CK is how they've managed to position themselves as this sort of bridge between mainstream and luxury. You get those sleek designs, high quality materials, but at a price point that feels a little bit more accessible than, say, some European luxury brands.
It's like what they call affordable luxury or accessible premium.
Right, exactly.
And their wallets are often seen as like a gateway into the brand.
Yeah,
You get that taste of the luxury without breaking the bank.
totally.
And let's be real, those fragrances are
Everywhere.
iconic.
It's smart marketing.
Yeah.
Fragrance is a more accessible entry point for a lot of people
Yeah.
than, say, a high-end designer dress.
Totally.
But it still creates that association with the brand's overall image.
So smart. Okay, last but not least, we've got the
Yeah.
granddaddy of denim,
Okay.
Levi's.
Yes.
Founded way back in 1853. I had no idea they were that old.
Wow.
The 501 jeans are like their bread and butter,
Yeah.
available for both men and women.
They really are the cornerstone of the brand. And what's interesting is how they've managed to hold on to that core identity while still evolving.
Yeah.
Think about it. They started with workwear, rugged denim for miners and laborers. And now they've become a fashion staple worldwide.
And they've got so much more than just jeans these days. Jackets
Huh.
with those fleece collars, those look so cozy.
Yeah.
Hoodies, plain tees,
Mm-hmm.
even crossbody bags.
It's about building a lifestyle around that denim heritage. It's not just about the jeans themselves. It's about the image they project, that sense of American authenticity, durability, and cool.
It's funny looking at all this, I'm realizing how much these brands are selling an idea
Yeah,
as much as they're selling clothes.
totally.
It's that aspirational lifestyle, a certain image you buy into.
That's exactly it. And that's what makes them so powerful. They tap into our desires, our aspirations, and they create these stories around their clothes.
Yeah, it really is. And it makes you think about your own relationship with these brands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Like, which of these brand stories resonates most with me?
Mm-hmm.
And I bet our listener is thinking the same thing right now. Yeah, totally. But before we get too introspective,
Right.
there's one more brand we need to talk about.
Okay.
Levi's.
Okay.
We were just talking about their incredible history and how they've managed to stay relevant for so long.
I know. 1853.
It's amazing.
That's mind-blowing. And, while they're known for their classic 501s,
Yeah.
which, by the way, the sources say are a great starting point
Mm-hmm.
if you're a first-time Levi's buyer,
Definitely.
they've also got a whole range of other pieces
Yeah.
that speak to that same rugged American aesthetic.
Right. Think jackets with those fleece collars, for extra warmth.
Oh, yeah.
Hoodies,
Yeah.
plain tees for layering.
Hmm.
They've even got those crossbody bags that have become super trendy lately.
It's like they've taken that core denim heritage and expanded it
Yeah,
to create a full-blown lifestyle brand.
exactly. And they've done it in a way that feels very authentic and true to their roots.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about how these brands reflect different facets of American culture.
That's a great point.
You know-
It's almost like they're each telling a different chapter of the American story through their clothes.
Right. Tommy Hilfiger with that very youthful, optimistic, all-American vibe.
Yeah.
Polo Ralph Lauren with its aspirations of elegance and sophistication.
Mhm.
Calvin Klein tapping into that minimalist urban cool.
Right.
And then Levi's representing that rugged individualism, that sense of hard work and resilience that's
Yeah.
so deeply embedded in the American identity.
Wow. That's a really insightful way to look at it.
Yeah.
So for our listener who's been taking all this in, we've
Mm.
got these 4 iconic American brands, each with their own distinct style and story.
Right.
Tommy Hilfiger, Polo Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and Levi's.
Yep.
Where do we even go from here?
Well, I think the key takeaway here is that fashion is a very powerful form of self-expression.
Yeah.
It's about finding the brands and the pieces that resonate with your own personal style and your values.
So it's not just about following trends.
Right.
It's about figuring out what feels authentic to you.
Precisely. And I think that's where the real fun begins.
Yeah.
It's about experimenting, exploring different brands and styles, and discovering what makes you feel confident and comfortable in your own skin.
And what makes you feel like you're telling your own story?
Exactly. So I have a question for our listener.
Okay, go for it.
Of these 4 iconic American brands, which one's aesthetic aligns most with your personal style and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. It really makes you think about what draws you to certain brands.
Yeah.
Is it the preppy classic look of Tommy Hilfiger,
Mm-hmm.
the timeless elegance of Polo Ralph Lauren,
Yeah.
the minimalist chic of Calvin Klein,
Mhm.
or that rugged denim-driven style of Levi's?
And it's not just about the clothes themselves.
Right.
It's about the lifestyle that they represent, the values they embody.
Right. Which brand story speaks to you the most?
And remember, there's no right or wrong answer here.
Yeah.
It's all about what resonates with you on a personal level.
It's about finding your own fashion voice.
Exactly. And once you find it, embrace it. Don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things, to mix and match.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Exactly, because ultimately fashion should be a source of joy and self-expression.
So go ahead and explore these brands. Visit their stores, browse their websites, try on some pieces. You might be surprised at what you discover.
And who knows, you might even find a new favorite that you never expected.
Yeah, the world of fashion is vast and exciting. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
So enjoy the ride.
Yeah, it really is. And even though we just focused on these 4 American giants,
Right.
it's really just a glimpse into the whole universe of fashion that's out there.
It is, but it's a great foundation. I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The history, the styles, the cultural impact, even that deeper question of how these brands kind of reflect these different aspects of American identity.
It's all about finding those connections, those points of resonance
Yeah,
that speak to you, personally.
absolutely. And that's what I love about doing these deep dives. It's not just about giving information. It's about sparking that curiosity,
Right.
that desire to kind of explore further.
Totally. So to our listener,
Yeah.
we hope this has given you a really solid understanding of these 4 iconic American fashion brands,
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and Levi's.
For sure.
And more importantly, we hope it's inspired you to think about your own personal style and how you express yourself through fashion.
Because at the end of the day, fashion is about so much more than just clothes.
Yeah.
It's about confidence, creativity, and finding what makes you feel good.
Need having fun with it.
Exactly.
So go out there, experiment, explore,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to break the rules.
Yeah.
That's how new trends are born, right?
That's the beauty of fashion. It's constantly evolving, just like we are.
This has been such a fun deep dive.
It has.
Until next time, happy styling.